You know, when you're wearing clothes that maybe you've had for a while, 10 years to be exact, and they just don't seem to fit the vibe anymore. You're like, I don't know if this is me. Maybe it was back then, maybe it wasn't, and I'm still wearing it and it feels off. That was the exact position our partner Will Devlin was in. It just wasn't his clothes. It was the brand of MessageGears that he leads as the head of marketing. 10 years in, no real effort on brand identity. And as he says in the interview, they basically got their money's worth and rode that thing into the ground. So we talk about basically the catalyst of knowing when it was time to rebrand, what it was like finding the right partner. Pro tip, it's more about the people than the pixels. We get into that. We talk about the challenges in the project, which are not necessarily challenges, but kind of the unknowns of, I know I need new clothes, a la brand identity, but I don't know what it is in my mind. I know we need it. So there's a lot of maybe fear baked into that feeling with these types of unknowns. So we talk through that and what that was like for them. Then we get into what was most rewarding. Will calls out the journey itself. Very stoic. Well done, Will. Then we get into his final tip on what he would tell anybody, peer, friend, founder. What's the one most important thing they should care about when going on their own rebrand journey? A wonderful episode with Will Devlin, a wonderful partner in MessageGears. I hope you enjoy. All right, Mr. Devlin, excited to chat with you today. We had some fun working together on the MessageGears rebrand. But before we get into all of that, I'm going to pass you the mic. You can introduce yourself and tell people what you do, where you're doing it, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Appreciate you having me on. It's exciting to be here, exciting to be a part of this project. My name is Will. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at MessageGears, a place where I've been for the last 10 years. Just crossed that milestone on Sunday this past week. So
congrats.
Thank you. But we're based here in Atlanta. I've been here in Atlanta for about 13 years now. I've been in the marketing space my entire life, the last 15 years on MarTech side, but prior to that on the brand side. And I love what I do. I love this. I love this business.
It showed. It was, I would speak highly of all of our partners, but you all had a special flavor to you. You were just such great humans. So kudos to you. So the
check cleared. That's good to know.
The check cleared. Yes.
Yeah.
It also cleared on Sunday. Sunday was a big day. Yeah.
Sunday was just a great day for everything. Yeah. I think that's, if you are doing something, you should try to love it as much as you can. And if you don't enjoy it, then you should get into something else. And so I try to find people around us that work the same way and have the same mindset. So
yeah. And that creates some awesome harmony, especially on a project like this, which brand projects are, let's be real, they are not easy. They're long. They can be arduous in both like just opinions and signing off on things, maybe even frustrating at many points. And we'll talk about those things. So before we get into the actual project itself, and the reason that we record these episodes, it's really not to highlight our work necessarily. That's kind of the outcome. We want people to learn from people like you, your peers, if you will, so that they can understand from your perspective on how did you get into this process? How did you know it was time to act on it? What was that like? How did you find the right partner? And then we'll get into the project and we'll get into the meat of the project. So that's going to lead me in to my first question, which is, how did you know it was time to actually bite off a project like this?
I've been arguing for it for a number of years. We're a small player selling something unique and innovative and different to really large enterprise brands. We're a marketing technology company. And so we're in a crowded space. We're in a well-established space. And the brand that we had didn't match the tone or the excitement of what we're selling and didn't represent who we were and never felt like it was truly ours. And there was also just the absence of any real cohesiveness. We look at the indicators, they're actually in your book, not to plug your book, but they matched up perfectly with our situation, right? We were at an
Okay.
inflection
Yeah.
point. Our brand needed to evolve with us. Our brand decisions didn't have any direction. They were very reactive. It was just
Hmm.
messy. There was not a lot of consistency. And we're in a space that's very crowded and there's a lot of confusion. And we were just blending in look and feel, and certainly with our messaging. So nothing felt like ownable for us. I listened to
Okay. Yep.
Sydney Sloan, and she talked on this
Yeah.
podcast about the sales law Rebrand, and she,
Yes.
we were in a similar boat where we'd gotten our money's worth out of that $50 logo we had purchased 15 years
Yeah.
ago, and we just
Yes.
rode that thing into the ground. And she
Yeah.
was a good ship, but we were, it's just we're past our prime there, and so
Yeah.
all those things, we have very low brand recognition and not a lot of brand equity in the space. Those that do know about us love us, but it's not the hallmark of a great business if you're just the best kept secret for years and
Yeah.
years and years, right? So
Well said.
it felt like time.
Yeah. Okay. And how much time had passed? I mean, when we were working with you all, was that the like startup brand that you literally rode into the ground?
That is it. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
had that that logo and brand, if you will,
Yeah.
if you even want to call it that, but it for 13 years, 14 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Again, it started with just the logo. I joined in 2014. That was the marketing asset that MessageGears had at the time.
Yeah.
The logo.
A logo.
And
Yeah.
so, we did some internal, like, hey, let's, over the years, like we'll brand refresh, right? But we never did a formal process. We never worked with experts.
Yeah.
We never really did a full project on it. Never put a lot of money and effort into it, and it was past time.
But then you have the monumental task of finding the right partner now, right? Okay, we know we need it. You've been fighting for it for a while, but then you're like, well, who do we work with? What are we looking for? What matters to us? The size of the companies vary wildly. The costs of the projects vary wildly. There's no kind of staple that you're like, okay, I need this and it should fall within this ballpark. So like, what do you do? Like, what was your search like? What was that hunt?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was word of mouth. We knew we wanted expertise in the tech space, and if we found somebody that had worked with a competitor or a partner of ours, that would be great. So there was some like, who did so and so use for their rebrand? Like, very very
Yeah.
pointed
Yes.
searches that way, and then talking to people throughout the industry or different peers of mine that had, who should I go to? Who should I talk to? The hallmarks of who we're looking for, though, were expertise in the space, high quality of work. Obviously, is a big deal for us, and just trust and honesty. You can get caught in this trap of finding somebody that tells you what you want to hear, and then you're not going to get pushed to do something great. So, as we were evaluating agencies and certainly we're in talks with y'all, what we really liked about it was not a lot of sugarcoating of things, and it wasn't in a obviously in a mean way.
Sure.
You guys are experts at this, but the team came back and said, yeah, your current brand is, they were using words like generic and forgettable and safe, and that's not what a company that aspires to be high growth and that wants brand recognition. You don't want those qualities necessarily to be the
Yeah.
things that are standing out. I joked at a company all hands. That's maybe something that you want. It's thinking about somebody your daughter might date, but not for a high growth company.
Yes.
And so, we had a good rapport and a good feeling there when we were getting that honest feedback in a way that felt helpful, right? It wasn't like, oh, you guys have a great brand today and we can improve upon it. It was like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I can see why you're not happy with this. I appreciated that. And ultimately just, the quality of the people and the quality of the work stood out the most. And it was feeling like, cool, we will work well with this group, and they will push us in what could be a very, you mentioned at the outset, there's a lot of opinions going back and forth. It could be contentious. There's a lot of, voices in the room that want to be the loudest and want to be right. And so we had to find somebody that was comfortable and had experience managing all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. It's that last point that I think people might overlook or underestimate the importance of. Who's going to navigate the journey with you
through all that hard stuff. You know, you mentioned quality of work is important. Yes, I agree. And you even mentioned in a way, which I'm going to now say more clearly, which is like, that's kind of like the table stakes at this point, right? For a company where you're at, and now it's time to do it right, the quality has to be there, right? That's kind of like, okay, that's the first box, check it out of the way. Now, what type of people can go on this journey with us? That is something that we spend a lot of time and energy on, is being that journey person, right? To go along on that journey and to help somebody on that journey. It's not just about the pixels. It's not just about the words. It's helping them navigate all the intangibles and the hard decisions and the people factors and all the planning and all this stuff. There's so much logistics. So I'm glad you valued that. And you certainly found the right people to go on that type of journey with you.
100%. Yeah, it shows. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. All right. So we get in the project. So you're like, okay, I think these are our people. I mean, let's be fair though. There's still question marks there, right? I guess like if, talking to everybody that's listening, watching, you think you can read people in a sales call. You hope that those things are true. Thankfully, your experience with us, it was true, but it's still a gamble, right? You don't know. You're saying, okay, this is who we're going to go with. But now let's get into the project. So there's I love opening this section of the interviews because it's the double side of the coin. Even successful projects have challenge, and it's worth talking about challenge. Case studies say, look how great everything is. We're really proud. LinkedIn is to celebrate, right? Celebrating you all when you launch. But like, then there's the behind the scenes, and it doesn't mean it's dramatic or there's controversy, but there is challenge. So my first question to you, what did you find most challenging in the project?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I mean, the biggest thing for me was that we knew we needed, all the signs were there that we needed to do something. We needed to do this, and we had found the right partner, but we didn't know what we wanted. It's one of those things where you can picture the end result in your mind, but it's abstract. It's in a dreamlike state. So you really can't see it. You can just feel like that's the thing I want. So we didn't know what that thing was. We just knew that we didn't want to be where we were. We didn't like what we had. We didn't want to be blending in. We didn't want something that was, safe or expected. And we wanted something that felt representative of the company we had built that we would be proud of. And we didn't know what the collection of that would look like. And so that to me actually presented the biggest challenge. And I know it's a little bit more of an abstract challenge overall, but the fact that we kind of came in the door and said, okay, we help us change. And there were some assumptions we had made about things that we were going to keep or that we did like about our existing brand. I think one of the first things we said was our old logo and brand, or company's name MessageGears, and our icon was a little gear. And of the things we were almost sure about going into this project, it was like, yeah, we're definitely keeping the gear. We can build on this and modernize this in an iconic way. And, there's not a gear anywhere to be found anymore. Right. But I think going into the project, there's just assumptions that we had that this is what we would keep and how this is going to go. But it really, I think the biggest challenge for me is that it was just sort of this open-ended, okay, cool. Like, I don't know what we want. Like, I have no ideas, seriously. I just know what we have today isn't working. We don't stand out. I don't know what this should look like or sound like or feel like, but I know it can't feel the way it feels today.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of even thinking of people back in the day, like moving out west, right? It's the new frontier. Or just an explorer leaving a country, going out into the ocean. He was like, I don't know where I'm going to land. I don't know what to expect, but I'm going to go on this journey. And I can see how that would be very intimidating. I'm on the other side of it so long now that it's like hard for me to even imagine the counter, right? I know we're going to get there. So that's like a part of our job, right? To take people on that journey, like we said. And, that's where some of that early strategy work comes in, even when we came to Atlanta doing the on-site, talking about archetypes. And now these things start to bring clarity to these kind of dreamy, unknown states. And then you build on top of that. I didn't know that y'all were potentially intent on keeping the gear. And it's funny to think about that now, right? You're like, no, I'm really glad we didn't keep the gear.
There were some early sort of non-negotiables, and that was, not non-negotiables, obviously, but things we felt pretty sure about. And I think that was just, I was thinking back to the comment you made about, getting into this early before the brand you have becomes stale or old. I do think one of the advantages of this project has been, or was early on, which was, we are so sick of this old thing and we don't like it. And we like, that
Yes.
really, you could have shown us anything and we would have been like, oh my God. I mean, that's obviously not what, how it played out, but everything that was a part of the project and all of the different options and potential paths you could go down
Yeah.
felt new and fresh. And that part was exciting.
Yeah. I could see
even
that.
though we didn't know, again, we just didn't know where we wanted to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I think one of the things that brings me the most joy outside of a partner like you launching and now trying to really go on and bring that to life and get return on that, quite frankly, is those early moments of like joy and excitement of like, oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I just hadn't thought that maybe it would go this direction. I think I love this. I don't know. It makes me nervous though. All these types of very early reactions. I enjoy watching that state.
Yeah, I think that Focus Lab did a nice job, and this goes back to selecting the right people that will work with you and push you. It was a good job of knowing those things were going to come, right, and setting our expectations well.
Yes.
But I think, constantly reminding us that what you're about to see is totally different, and people have different reactions to things that are totally different, right? You tend to retreat to your familiar, safe places when presented with something that's totally radical, totally different. But remember, you guys came in the door and said you wanted something totally different. You hated where you were. Anywhere but here was the mantra, right? So like, that constant reminder is, it was exciting, but it was a little nerve-wracking for sure. And then, committing to one of these different paths and then exploring where that path can lead. Again, very exciting, but also very, it's nerve-wracking, and there's a lot of different voices
the
in that
commitment
room,
side,
so.
right? I got to commit to this thing right now. Oh my God,
it's scary.
This is it. Is this going to be it? Can I put it out into the world and ask everybody if they love it? No, you can't do that, Will. I don't know how to react.
Can I focus group this? Right.
Yeah. I remember even actually I was in one of those meetings now that I recall, and we were talking about the M that you all landed on, and there was other options that were very interesting. And I just chimed in. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to sway the group, but maybe you want my opinion, and I'm going to make it very clear. If it were me, I'd be picking this thing. The opportunity exists here. So do what you want with that. And I think y'all received that well. You're like, shit, he sounds like really confident about that. Maybe we should pick that.
No, I want to tell you right now personally, and I hope all of my colleagues are listening to this, because your vote was backing my strong. We kind of allowed ourselves one die on the hill moment throughout the project, like each person.
Yeah.
And that the mark that we landed on, which is the M that you advocated for, was my die on the hill moment. I was like, all these things are great. There's different paths we can go down. This thing is this is the direction. I'm dying on this hill.
Yeah.
There are other things I will cede control over, even if I don't love, but like this thing. And so then when you came on and that one call and echoed that, I was just, it was such sweet victory.
Like, and I didn't know that, right? Like I didn't know that you were prepared to die on that hill.
And it was the right choice. I mean, and everybody, now as we've gone through this project, admits that when you see it all put together, it feels right. It is the right choice. But at that time, like it was like, yes, thank you, Bill. You come in, you back me up. You didn't even know it, and then you left. It was great. It was a wonderful moment.
I wanted to highlight really quickly something you were talking about, and share. You talk about this concept that we help people understand what they're going to see for the first time is new. It's different. They're going to have a hard time understanding what it is, and like you're going to have to adapt to change, and it's uncomfortable. And for the people listening and watching, we literally in the deliverables. So as Will and his team is seeing this for the first time, there's strategy pages leading up to it, right? There's no logos or colors or anything yet. Then there's a section, and these are individual pages that say, basically, stop, let us talk to you for a minute. You're about to see things that are brand new. You've never seen these before. They're going to mean nothing to you. That doesn't mean they're bad. That doesn't mean they won't work. have an open mind. Let's talk. And then we go into the visuals. So we do that both in like people to people kind of coaching, if you will, but we put it in the deliverable as well, because we've just seen it so many times, right? 600 projects plus in now over 15 years. We understand the mental friggin' hurdles that it is to look at these deliverables. It goes like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Oh, I know I've seen things like that. I don't like them, or I've seen it over. And those are fair. Those are natural instinctual reactions, but we have to move past that initial reaction to be like, but what is it? Will it work? What does the customer think? And all these other things. So yeah, we go so hard on that front that we actually put it in the deliverable. Maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe we over-index on that front, but I think it is helpful.
It's totally helpful. I don't think you can over-index on that. I mean, we would, as we shared things with other parties internally, we echoed that same advice. Like, what you're about to see is different. It's meant to be different. Remember, we all talked about this, right? Like, we all want it to be different. So just prepare yourselves that it's different, and be open to it.
You made a great point, which I'll just double down on, which is the fact that you did wait so long, and you said it, right? Like, we knew we needed change. We were so hungry for change that literally anything, quote unquote, was going to be better. That's actually a healthy position to be in. That was a benefit to you, as opposed, sometimes people are like, I don't know if we really need it. Is it fully broken? Why are we doing this? That makes it harder to sell stuff through. So that actually worked to your advantage. All right, let's go to the other side of the coin though. Okay, so those were some of the challenges, which are totally surmountable, especially when you have the right partner. What was the most rewarding part of the project?
I mean, there's several things. I think the most rewarding thing when I look back on it, and you always think, you want how something makes you feel. It's a very brand way of looking at things, but the project itself was so smooth. And so I think one of the things I'll remember about it is how smooth it was. I think we went into it expecting it to be tough, and, for there to be a lot of passion that came to a head, and places where we were stuck with each other and couldn't get past something. And it never really took place. And I do credit the partnership and the fact that your team managed us very well. And so again, when you're looking for a partner, find that extension of your team. The project came through on time. Each iteration got us more and more excited and closer. Obviously there's, creative acumen there, but it was also just the expectation setting up front, where it was, here's what we're going to need from your team to keep this project moving. I need a core team. You're going to need to meet with that core team on these days and be prepared to answer these questions and make these decisions on these days. We're going to give you deliverables on these other days, right? It was very, very clearly laid out, very strict about who was involved in that core team and who should not be involved. Is probably the more, you could have too many cooks in the kitchen. It was very much like, this core team needs to be this size and represent these voices. So there was always, in that lens, meaningful discussion. There was disagreements for sure and passion, but nothing ever came to an impasse where we felt like we can't make a decision here. And I think a project like this with high expectations and so many opinions, especially from people in marketing and C-suite, has so many different opportunities to go sideways or stall, and this never did. And to me, that is the most unexpected reward of the whole project, aside from it feeling the output of it is amazing and we all feel so good, but it's just the smoothness of the overall thing. Now, everything was purposefully done, and I love that part of it. Like, as everything inched closer every week, like there was something that just felt that stuck, right? It was like, we're gonna throw a few things at the wall, we're gonna wipe the slate clean, a few of those things are gonna stick on the wall, and we're gonna keep throwing things. And I loved that. And the other unexpected thing that I really enjoyed was your team had, obviously one of the reasons we selected you is tech expertise and industry knowledge, but the requirement going into the project was not for us it was never mentioned like, you need to make sure that this looks and sounds like a tech brand. That came from, and so that opened up a lot of different possibilities for what this thing could be. And I thought that was such an unexpected, just cool part of this whole project. Because again, like, you might have an idea of what the end result looks like, but we were purposefully told we're not going to box ourselves into, does this feel tech brandy or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that really just allowed us to be much freer with the ideas and open to, yeah, let's go completely dark mode on this thing, or let's use
Yeah.
this color that you don't see very often, and really helped us kind of ease into this, what ended up being felt very much like a high end, almost in some cases like a fashion brand, or some of those types of things where it's like, this is very artsy and very sophisticated, and isn't immediately identifiable as, oh, that's a software company. And I think that's terrific. Yeah. I love that about it. So
credit to you all for coming in. Like, you had to come in with open eyes and open hearts and all these things to be able to accept that broad journey, though, right? You could have come in with some predisposed ideas of okay, well, it has to be this, and we could have done our job and pushed back a little bit. But if you push harder, then we say, okay, well, we're not going to win this battle. Okay, they want to look super tech. Let's just make sure that we're following within the guardrails of serving them well. And y'all came in with really open to all ideas. And that's a result of that, right? It doesn't happen without that.
Yeah, you underestimate the power of hating your existing brand enough.
There's the main takeaway. Wait a long time.
Away.
Yeah. Wait a long time, hate it to hell and back, and then just try all the things. Everything will be great.
Yep. Be open to everything. Yep.
Yeah, you shared a lot of good stuff in there. And I hope people are really taking to heart the things that matter in the project, right? Again, we're not spending a lot of time talking about, this one color is the best color ever, and that's going to result in higher customer retention. We're building at the brand level so we can get really brand woo-woo if we decide to. But to go on a journey like this, to go through the process with a partner, it's a lot of the intangible stuff. It's being open-minded and being patient and all these other things. All right, that takes us to, now I know the brand, God, when did it launch? It's only been a couple months now, right? This is very new.
It's not even that. It's very new. It's been about a month, a little over a month. So it's still very fresh.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ask you what's the ROI so far? It's way too soon, right? Sometimes, let's be real. Sometimes the true ROI of a new kind of brand foundation, identity, all these things, it takes years and years and years for that then to compound on itself and become really, really sticky. But has there been anything you've been able to do, even right out of the gate, that might just be tactical, that is now easier as a result of this? Or what impact are you seeing? Maybe it's just a big, broad question.
Yeah, I mean, there is actually several things. I mean, even from a immediate impact. I mean, we're obviously seeing there's been a lot of positive discussion and feedback. So that's always nice when you launch something like this. I think we had prepared, especially with such a drastic change, to receive some negative comments and feedback, particularly from our own colleagues, that, it's hey, this is our new brand. This is the new MessageGears, right? And, internally, there's a lot of affinity for what's familiar. And we actually never encountered that, which is really interesting. There was, but a lot of great external feedback. So all of that's wonderful. But it is early, but we've been able to feel look, this allows us to present as our authentic selves.
Yeah, there you go.
Part of this project was, take the visuals out of it, was finding our voice, clarifying what we do into simple terms and simple messaging and language, and then applying that persona and that voice across everything you do, internal and external. And it's allowed us to do that. We've never felt like we've been able to take what we know internally has been our special sauce and the excitement we have over what we do and how we service customers, and the joy we get in seeing them do amazing things with our software. We've never felt like we've had something that represented that in any way, shape, or form. So that has been a big differentiator, right? The product positioning, the new voice, it really allows us to more succinctly and clearly articulate what we do and what our benefits are. And that's something we struggle with forever. Obviously the visuals allow us to stand out. They allow us to be more consistent. They give us a solid framework to build on. It allows us to feel more confident too in ourselves, and more, just more out there. Like, this is, you feel good when you wear, nice clothes. Like that's a little bit of how it is. It's like you walk in the room with a little bit more swagger. We had a board member
Love
even
it.
put it like, and they tend to think of everything in terms of dollars and cents and what's the ROI. But, one of them was like, yeah, I just don't know how else to describe this other than this is amazing. This looks cool. Like it looks cool now. The brand
Okay.
feels right. So,
Yeah.
with early returns, obviously, there's positive feedback. It's allowed us to be authentic, but it has resulted in some higher velocity and advancement of early stages and deals and discussions. Again, because
Okay.
we're kind of walking in with some swagger. We're more succinct, we're more clear, and we're more confident with how we talk about ourselves and getting to the point very quickly for people. And so we look the part and feel the part and sound the part. And I think that, that's what we wanted. And early returns are really good there.
Great. Right. We all kind of harp on the, like, what's the return or the ROI? Like, you're looking for dollar to dollar match. Like, yeah, but those three things you just said before the dollars even come back on it, they are positive. They will not return something. You made me think of something else too. And I want to spend just a second highlighting the strategy team and the writing team in these branding projects. Visuals get a lot of the emphasis, right? Because we all look at things, right? So then we think a visual identity is pixels design. Yes, that's a great reminder that the strategic work and the writing work for you all was paramount. That really, and it is for most projects, like all our projects start there for a reason, but for you all, that even has more impact. And it makes me think of this line that I say provocatively now and again on LinkedIn, which is, we don't sell brand, we sell clarity. And like, what's a clarity in a business worth? Measure that, right? Like the reduction of friction of even saying what you do to anybody. I mean, that has impacts inside, outside, everywhere across the business. So I'm glad that you all got that. And it's funny how those things even start coming back to the attributes exercise. Y'all pick the Maverick and these types of things, right? It starts to give you that, oh, that's our swagger. We're more like that type of vibe, right? Now you start to get clear, and it's a thread that pulls all the way through. For the people that are more interested in that, this is now a plug that I don't usually do. Definitely go to the case study though, because we talk about the Maverick specifically and what it informed within the identity and how we built on top of that. Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, I'm going to hit you with the big banger question. I'm going to get us the hell out of here.
Okay.
If you were sitting down with one of your peers, or anybody for that matter, a founder of another business, etc., and they were like, I'm about to go on a big rebrand journey, and you could only tell them one thing, one pro tip, what would it be?
One thing, bro?
Yep.
Have an open mind. I mean, if to me, the 4 words, I mean, there's a lot to unpack under that, but the success of this project required us as a team to be completely open with what path we were going to go down. We knew we wanted to be anywhere but where we were. And there's a lot of different ways we could get out of that spot. And we just collectively had a completely open mind. And I think that was a requirement for us to be successful. I mean, there's other things like you need to trust the experts and collaborate and be willing to flex on some things. But I think, have that open mind. And then once you find that thing, like go all in, like just own it, go for it, do it. That's it. I mean, just, you can't force something if you already have an idea of where you want to go.
Well said.
It won't work as well.
Yeah. That open mind, you're saying basically is one portion, is a really important portion. Maybe that's the umbrella that everything else falls under anyways, right? You talked about like trusting your partner and all that. You got to have an open mind to do all of that stuff. And another point you were making there, which I think is interesting, we try to share this too, which is like, success is not one single endpoint. Like for you all, it could have been a different solution that was still successful. It could have been a solution over here that was still successful. So there's not one solution at the end, but it is the journey that you go on that gets you to a solution that will then become kind of the new brand and the new identity. But again, you have to have an open mind. The creative process is a journey, to use that word for the 78th time in this episode. And it's serve you well to have an open mind to go on that creative process journey.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was honestly the whole project it was one of the highlights of my career. I mean, it just the output, the work, the collaboration, and it made me look great, first of all. But I mean, it's just, learned so much about who we are as a business and how to collaborate and manage projects and learn about what's the most important aspects of finding yourself through that process. Like you mentioned, like it's not just pretty pictures and icons. It really is finding your voice, finding your personality, and leaning into it.
Bringing the business back to center and then moving from that position forward again. Yeah. Again, like what's the value in that? It's huge. We have our leading why statement in our company is unlock the potential in the people around us. That's our why statement. That's why we get out of bed. It's not branding, but it's to use branding as a vessel to unlock that potential in people like yourselves and the companies you work at, et cetera. So to hear what you just said, that's mission achieved for us. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Sure.
All right, sir. Well, I don't know when we'll see you again, but I'm going to loop back around. I want to hear what's cooking over there.
Yeah, listen, I can't thank your team enough for the collaboration and the output. And I mean, anybody that wants any other advice on this project or other projects or who to work with, hit me up at Bill up for sure.
Talk to Will. He's been through the whole entire thing now. You don't have to hire us. Talk to him.
In one piece.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thanks again. A big thanks from my team. I'll see you out there on the internet.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
All right.